We're late, but we're live. I'm so sorry we're late, and there's a very good reason why we're late. I will show you that in a little bit. I was preparing something a little different for these live shows in terms of a little bit of a tactical preview and a look ahead to the Man City game tomorrow. Plenty to catch up on. We are, say it quietly, on a little bit of Watkins watch. Not really, because that's not looking like it's going to happen. But we'll have to discuss that because the Rashford news has brought up some questions. We're going to talk about that. We've got Wolves versus Villa on in the background. It's Wolves 1-0 up at the moment. Listen, I was just catching up with the game anyway. But while we're at it, may as well keep an eye. Is Watkins still on the pitch? I mean, I was like getting ready for this live stream, trying to prep. So I'm actually not quite sure what's going on there. But last thing, your thoughts on his performance, if he's been playing. Is that transfer completely dead? I think that's a question we want to ask. It looks like it is because of John Duran going. Villa have shown a lot of ambition over the years. I don't think they're going to want to lose both strikers. What does the Rashford stuff mean? João Felix, all that. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to catch up on everything like Sven Nipan. What happened there? How should we be feeling about it? I'm personally disappointed about it, and I'll explain why. And then we're going to touch on the Man City preview too, with a little bit of a sneak peek, some live tactical pad stuff. Don't you love to see it? Can we position us? Look at that. There we go. We'll even give you the full screen. But that's towards the end of the show. We're live for about the next half hour, getting your thoughts, super chats, whatever. Watkins was off at halftime. There we go. So no Watkins watch. That shows you how much I was paying attention. But there we go. Still got Villa away at Wolves, 1-0 down. And yeah, we'll just kind of keep an eye on it because we like our football. So what happened? Did he come? So Watkins came off injured. Interesting. There we go. Watkins off at halftime with an injury. There we go. So we're not really on Watkins' watch, but fine. Shows you how much I was really paying attention to that one. Do we know if it's serious? I hope it's not serious. Maybe because I quite like the player, not because I think we're getting him. But we don't look. We may as well start there. We may as well start on the Ollie Watkins stuff. What we kind of know, as my Windows here doing a bit of a madness. Where are we with it? Wednesday was a really, really, really strange day, wasn't it? We basically were getting ready for Champions League action. We know on match days you don't really hear too much in the way of transfers. And in 2 match days in a row, Aston Villa have had 2 really big bits of transfer news. On Wednesday, they had the news of a bid for one of their best players, if not their best player. And then today they've had the Marcus Rashford stuff. Both came out on match days. Now, on Wednesday, I was really baffled. I have to say, I took a more cynical approach to the news of the bid. I sort of thought, why has this bid gone in now? What are Arsenal trying to do? Is this just a bit of a PR move? Is this just a bit of a get a message out there? I wasn't quite sure, but I have to say, on reflection, I think this was a legitimate move from Arsenal. I do think they were trying to sign Ollie Watkins. The bid came in apparently on Monday, and there have been conversations before that. Some ITK's reports we ever believe suggest that there was encouragement that a deal could be done. So Arsenal probably exploring that. And I think in the way of proven goal scorers in the Premier League, I wouldn't even call him gettable, but he is probably the most gettable. And there are very, very few players that are legitimately proven goal scorers in the Premier League. So I think Arsenal were trying to do that deal. And there are some reports saying that they're still going to go and try and do that deal, put a bid in, a second bid, and try test their resolve. Now, is there any chance that we can still get Ollie Watkins over the line? I think this is how I feel about it. I'm like very confident, no. I'm very it's unlikely. I'm just really unsure that Villa, who have shown so much ambition with the players they brought in, they've got a World Cup winning goalkeeper, they've got one of the best managers in Europe, they got into the Champions League last season, they spent really well, they've got a plethora of real talent, and they've got a really kind of unique identity in the Premier League. Only they really play with the kind of wide central midfielders as opposed to wingers, in a system that kind of really focuses on their nines, getting goals. I think they're quite a unique team, doing it in quite a unique way. And I don't think they'd want anything to disrupt their momentum because they've shown this ambition for a while. But some are suggesting PSR concerns. Now, did the John Duran sale completely appease all that and sort that out? I don't know. The other question is, how much do Villa just want to honour what Ollie Watkins has given over the years and perhaps his wishes? So if, and it's an if, his wish is to get a move to Arsenal, and Villa think they can make money on that deal, including Duran, and come out with 2 other quality options, of which João Felix and Marcus Rashford would be, albeit I think they'd be downgrades, especially for the form they're in. Would Man City, not Man City, would Aston Villa consider that? I don't know. Sorry, this is why you shouldn't have football on when you're when you're trying to do a live stream. Would Aston Villa consider that? I don't know. I think they would think about it, but I think ultimately they're going to want to keep him. Emery's quotes were, I wouldn't say he like flat out said that is it. Ollie Watkins is 100% staying, but I think his general kind of, he was saying, look, he's happy to stay. He understands that he needed us. Now we need him. And yeah, I thought he was, I thought he was pretty clear. But I don't think it's complete. Basically, if Arsenal dropped 85 million at Aston Villa's door, you know, I think they would think about it. But at the moment, we're hearing about the bid being more around 45 to 50 million, and Arsenal maybe going up to 60. I just don't know if for a player that's been so key for Villa, if those are numbers they're willing to work at, especially like I said, with the ambition they've shown, with how much they've backed Unai Emery, with selling John Duran. I'm not 100% sure. Does Rashford coming in change that? Now, one of the things I put it in a short that I put on my channel. I ended up deleting it just because I thought, well, to be honest, I didn't really believe much of what I was saying, to be honest. But I think one of the things that I had in my mind was, where does Rashford fit in at Aston Villa? Now, if he's going to be a winger, fine. He's a very good winger, I think, on his day, Marcus Rashford. The goals a couple of seasons ago under Ten Hag showed you that. The question is that the way Unai Emery and Aston Villa play? I just said they play with kind of wide central midfielders. So they'd go for more of a McGinn, a Rodgers, a Ramsey. They play sort of Tielemans or Rodgers in the 10. They'd go for kind of more 4 or 5 central midfielders, with the fullbacks, wingbacks getting right up the pitch. And then, a striker sort of being fed and leading the line and stretching back forwards. Now, sometimes they play with the Leon Bailey. Granted, they've definitely done that. Last season, they had a Moussa Diaby, but remember they played Moussa Diaby more off Ollie Watkins. So again, what are they going to do with a Marcus Rashford? I think in an Emery system, Rashford's actually suited to leading the line. I think he's looked poor for a few years leading the line, Marcus Rashford. But at Villa, that could be a good suit. To complement Watkins, so they could play together. I think that's absolutely something that could work really well. On the flip side, though, is that a player who, because I don't think Rashford's similar to Watkins, but if they let Watkins go and play Rodgers behind Rashford, or played even a João Felix and a Rodgers, I don't know. Look, it's all pure hopium, copium, all that. I'm just wondering. My overall genuine impression is Daniel Marlin would have come in because Philogene left. Then now you've got John Duran, and you could argue that with letting John Duran go, they've got no other strikers. Daniel Marlin can play as a striker, so Rashford comes in, and there you go. They're just strengthening, their options, which would make complete sense. But I just wonder. I don't think the Watkins thing is fully dead yet. I think if Arsenal came with the right price, whatever that would be, that maybe Villa would be open to a conversation. I just think that's going to take extreme money that Arsenal won't want to get to. I don't think Watkins is going to force his way out, because I think he is happy at Villa. I think he'd like the move, but I think he's happy at Villa. So I think it's just one of those where, yeah, it was probably just a little bit too little too late. But people have been wondering throughout the day whether the Rashford stuff was going to spark a conversation around Ollie Watkins still kind of being available. Let's see. I haven't completely lost hope of it, but I just think it's looking incredibly unlikely. Let's go through. We've got a super chat here. Bob says, with Liverpool winning today, do you think if Arsenal drop points tomorrow, it'll push us towards a desperate and pointless last-minute transfer? I mean, maybe. That's a really good win for Liverpool, and that's actually the thing I wanted to talk about as a second part of this show, was what a big win that was for Liverpool. It was a penalty on Gakpo. I know there's one angle that makes it look like he trips himself up, but there's another where you can clearly see that the Bournemouth defender has kind of caught him. There weren't sort of big protests from the Bournemouth players, and that's probably why. I think that's just a great win. It's just a really, really, really great win for Liverpool. Where at Bournemouth, where Arsenal, Man City have both lost, Tottenham have lost there. Well, let me not. It's a difficult place to go. They play great football under Andoni Iraola. They've got some of their injuries too, which only kind of shows what a great manager Iraola is and has been this season. And you looked at that as one of the sort of tricky, how will this fixture go? And they've gone away to Forest, away to Brentford, and away to Bournemouth. I looked at those three, and they picked up 7 points out of 9. 2 clean sheets, 1 conceded at Forest. And you look at that second half against Forest, they could easily have scored more. So I have to, I have to say, I mean, Liverpool just looking the best team in the league, and the thing is, I think they will drop the equivalent of 9 more points between now and the end of the season. But we won't be faultless. We will not be faultless. We will absolutely drop more points. And so you're asking for an even bigger drop in form and even bigger swing in momentum in terms of an increase in our levels and a fall of Liverpool's. I just don't really see that happening. Salah's still scoring goals, and Liverpool, comfortably through in the Champions League. They barely broke a sweat in that. And, in the Premier League, they're just running at a phenomenal rate. I think Lana Slott's done a great job. And I think one of the things we have to, and this is not an excuse, poor people think, oh, here we go, excuses. I think one thing Arsenal have to overcome mentally is that Liverpool have been getting really good jobs done before our big games. So, to be fair, they dropped points at Forest. Did that maybe, I don't know, inject some energy into the team for the North London derby? But pre-Villa, they just scored in the 91st or 92nd minute against Brentford away from home. You're thinking that is such a gut punch. And at one point in both games, it was the 90th minute with Brentford and Liverpool 0-0. And at one point in the Arsenal-Villa game, Arsenal 2-0 up. Now, it happened after, so none of these things happen simultaneously. But it's just the fine margins of football, right? And now we've got another one where, again, we're probably thinking, well, they're going to Bournemouth. You never know. If they lose, Bournemouth could win that game. Then maybe Arsenal close the gap to 3 points. And they've got the game in hand away at Goodison Park. They're in great form under David Moyes now. Who knows? But the reality is they've got the job done again. And we really need to figure, we need to just focus on ourselves. But the problem is, and I understand Liverpool fans, oh, they're in here. Oh, Daniel Marlin's had a good save from the Wolves goalkeeper. The problem is, it's easy. Is that Marlin? I think it was. It's very easy to say, if you're a Liverpool fan watching this, easy for a Liverpool fan to say, why even worrying about us? And I totally get that from their perspective. But from our perspective, it's because we're trying to reach the top, and that's just the level they've shown. So we have to kind of keep looking at what they're doing and just hoping for a lifeline. But they're not giving us that lifeline at all. And when they have in the last 2 months, we haven't capitalized whatsoever. So yeah, it is frustrating that we just haven't shown the kind of consistency that can eat up some of these points that Liverpool have dropped. And the reality is they've dropped so few. When they have, they've all been draws minimum. When did they last lose a game? Was it Forest at home? I think Forest home is the only game they've lost. Yeah, that's the level, and we're not at it right now. So I wonder whether that win might get in the heads of the Arsenal players, but I really hope it doesn't. There's enough narrative in this game. There's enough thought around the Erling Haaland derby, the stay humble comment, the pat on the back of Arteta, the Gabriel Jesus, Marvelous Skelly stuff at full time, the last minute goal they scored. There's a needle between these teams. And I think whether we're 7th or 1st or wherever we are on the table, we should be just focusing on this game for what it is, because of the, some people say rivalry. I think rivalry is built off us having a level of success that can match with theirs. But at the same time, there's a rivalry in the sense that, neither team they haven't liked each other the last few years, and that really came out in the last game. I think that should be what's firing up Arsenal for this one. So 91st minute, Wolves still 1-0 up. So what minute did Ollie Watkins come off? Because I turned this on, I had it in the background, I was sort of getting ready, and I was thinking, keep a little eye, maybe they need a goal. Villa, maybe Ollie Watkins would come up with it, but no, he's not on the pitch. So what minute did he come off? Do we know? I can't see. No, Google doesn't tell me. Ollie Watkins sub. Let's have a little look. Watkins sub. What have we got? I can't see anything. Oh, was it all at half time? I'm not sure. Anyway, strange one. But yeah, I can't see anything about an injury. Oh well, there we go. So anyway, he came off at half time. All right, cool. Thank you. Those letting me know. That's a shame. Would have been good to have, like I said, kept an eye on him in this kind of particular moment. Is it definitely injury? Where have we heard that it was an injury? Because I just seen some tweets saying, that Emery's had a shocker taking him off. But why has he taken him off? Is there, like I said, do we know for sure it's an injury or something like that? I don't know. Yeah, Vishal, this is the worry, isn't it? Rashford goes to Villa. Watkins stays put, Telles goes to Man United, and Arsenal do nothing. I mean, that would be the stress, wouldn't it? On 47 minutes, he came off. Muscle, says Ryan Arsenal. Okay, cool. I'll take your words for it. And we have Liverpool fans. There we go. In the comments, I know you're worrying about. Well, you're not worrying. You should be just enjoying what you're doing at the moment. Liverpool look fantastic. That's a really big win today. He got injured just before the break. People are saying, okay, he winced up with an inner thigh injury. Well, that's just great. So he's getting. So actually, that makes me think more than anything, he's going to Arsenal. Eh? If you've got injury problems, you're made for the club. So don't worry. There we go. Even if we agree a fee, he'll fail the medical. Yeah, they're really knocking on the door, Villa here. 4 minutes to go for them to get an equaliser. Cool. Before we go on to the tactical stuff, which we'll do is the kind of the last 10 minutes and my thoughts on kind of the last 10 minutes of the show, I just want to chat about Sven Ipan and that not happening. So on Friday, yesterday, David Ornstein said that Sven Ipan is going to play with Rosenborg till the summer, and that the 18-year-old midfielder is basically, he's going to take time to make a decision. It was Arsenal, Villa, and, it wasn't Man City, it was Girona, who, of course, owned by the Man City owners. They were in for him. And I'm going to be honest, I was disappointed that this deal didn't go through. And I think the reason I was disappointed about it was it's a profile of player we need. And I think it's been a really long time since Arsenal went and picked up one of Europe's most talked about youngsters, one of Europe's kind of most exciting young players making their way into European football with a lot of hype around them. And look, Real Madrid and Barcelona weren't in for this guy, but they might be come the summer. And, other clubs like Dortmund supposedly were, Man City at one point were reportedly, but it looks like it was going to be Girona. But you could sort of see how there's a move for Girona to Man City perhaps in the future there. And yeah, it was disappointing. And look, for an 18-year-old, let's stress that again, he's 18. If an 18-year-old doesn't want to commit and make the move quite yet, that's absolutely fine. I don't judge the player for not committing to a move. He went to visit the clubs. He clearly did his part with his family, whoever's involved in his, in his sort of circle. Oh, they're in here, Wolves. No, straight to Martinez. Clearly, with everyone sort of around him, he considered the options and ultimately decided that it was worth staying for a little bit. The problem is, I think Arsenal need this profile player. And I also think we need to be at the forefront of these younger players in Europe when they're sort of potentially getting moves. Now, Sven Ipan, from my understanding, good final third player, 2-footed. I think would complement Odegaard really nicely. I was chatting to Ben Mattinson, really good scout on X, came on my channel. One thing he was saying was, with Nipan, you've got a player who, at the moment, is kind of known for what he does in the final third. That kind of left 8 position would suit us really well. But will probably develop into someone who could play a little bit deeper. Technically very good. Like I said, both footed, could work on his sort of strikes and his crossing and that kind of final third real quality, but plays a lot of his football in that area. Decent ball carrier. And I think at 18, when you look at what Wanir and Lewis Skelly are doing, you're thinking, okay, well, if they're good enough, they're old enough. And that's why I had the impression, especially when the reports were saying that, look, this is a deal that they're trying to do for now. This is a deal that they're trying to do for the immediates who can come in and be an immediate part of the first team. Yes, he probably wasn't going to play. They're in again here, Wolves, and it's 2-0. Was that Mateus Cunha? Okay. Let's have a look at this goal because they've just won the derby 2-0. It's a derby, right? Now this is someone we were linked to a lot. But he hasn't signed his contract yet, has he? He's agreed the contract with Wolves, but he hasn't quite signed it. This would be a big win for Wolves. Disappointing drop points for Villa. Let's have a look at this goal by Cunha. Rodgers he's not happy with something. And they've just put the shirt on Wolves on his back. Okay, so Rodgers has the ball. Oh, was he caught there by Bueno? The question is, did he get the ball first? I think he got the ball first. And it's a lovely... Oh, is that Conso who's got that wrong? Cunha's in. He's done really well here. Looks after the ball well. Oh, he's done brilliantly. Oh, it's a really good goal. Oh, well played, Cunha. Listen, who in our team does that? Being deadly serious. Who in our... Oh, that is brilliant. The way he sold Consa there, making him think he was running on the inside, left the ball only to leave it back onto his right foot, driving to the corner. That's really, really good from Mateus Cunha. I don't know who scores that goal for us, people. And yes, I would still take him. Yes, I would absolutely still take Cunha. at Arsenal, even though we've been linked to other players like Sesko since, like Ollie Watkins. Really good goal. Yeah, look, the shimmy was cheeky. I agree with this comment. It was a cheeky shimmy. Well done, Mateus Cunha. I wonder what that celebration was. Is that a message? An I'm staying message? But look, that's 3 points for Wolves now. Really good win for them. Real shame that we couldn't see more of Ollie Watkins. Well, didn't see any of Ollie Watkins throughout this stream. Anyway, doesn't matter. So, yeah, is this right? Sorry. Was it a message saying I'm staying? You wonder if that celebration was that. But there we go. So anyway, what was I saying? Nipan. We need a player that takes the creative burden off Martin Odegaard and is able to unlock the left-hand side a little bit more. Marino, I hoped, would do that. He hasn't done that at all. We've got no one else. Fabio Vieira's out on loan. Waneri's playing as a backup to Odegaard or a backup to Saka, and I think he looks more comfortable on that right side. So I think Arsenal really needed to add a midfielder of this kind. But they're not. Yeah, they were in for one in Nipan, but that's it. An 18-year-old who's going to cost 10, maybe 15 million. They're not looking to do anything else, as far as I'm aware. But that's a player we really need. Even if Mendy comes in, I still think we need that kind of player. Because I think Rice could play at the base with 2 more advanced 8s. So yeah, I thought it was disappointed we couldn't get the Nipan one over the line. That doesn't mean we can't still. In the summer, we might. And then in reality, was he going to come in and have a major impact immediately? Probably not. So I think, there's every chance we're patient with this one and that he comes in the summer. That's probably better for his development. Come in, do some preseason, and then be ready to contribute. And I get that from the player's perspective. I don't begrudge him not agreeing to the move now. But I think, I really hope for 2 reasons. A, picking up one of Europe's most talented youngsters. And let me say, yes, that is secondhand information. I've never watched him play. I've seen the comps. He looks really good. But you talk to anyone who supposedly follows the game across Europe, any scouts, whatever, they will tell you he's a really, really exciting young player. I think he was the youngest player to play at something like some under 21 competition. I don't know. Listen, I'll get the exact figures, but yeah, he's broken some records, and there's a young player there that I think could develop into someone that, we talk about doing what Brighton are doing, getting Baleba at 19 before he becomes a £100 million player. And you can bet that's what they're going to want for Carlos Baleba. And that's happened with a few of their players. Moises Caicedo was a £3 million signing. And I think Arsenal could do more of that. And I think Nipan, for his quality today or in the coming years, but also for the value he may hold in future and the value it may take to bring him from wherever other club he ends up at when we want to sign him. I think for that reason, we want to be, at the forefront for these kind of players. Oh, can you kiss the badge, did he? Well, there you go. Look, those rumors all kind of died a while ago, didn't they? But has he signed the new contract? I'm just interested. I don't think we're going to get him. I'm just interested if he's actually put pen to paper yet. Very good player. And look, we're talking about clubs across the league having more kind of quality in the final third than Arsenal. That's why it's so imperative we get someone as well. Arsenal won't get Rashford Hedgie because he's on his way to Aston Villa. Deal all but done, which is interesting. And at the beginning of the show, if you're just joining us now, at the beginning of the show, we talked about the Watkins stuff and whether the Rashford thing was linked to the Watkins thing. I don't think it is, but it could be, is what I'm saying. All right, let's spend the last 6-7 minutes talking tactics. You're going to have to excuse me and the comments. In fact, let's just go through one of your super chats very quickly. Jazzy says, hey, James, would take a striker and an informed player from the Championship. And off topic, would you put MLS? Would you? MLS is the best English left back currently. Lewis Hall's been brilliant, but he's in great form. Lewis Skelly, an informed striker from the Championship. Well, that's what Gyökeres was, but I don't know. Let's talk tactics here for a sec. So I've made up a potential 11 for City. It's hard to know what they're going to do. I've got Stones in there, for example, but it was Kuznetsov that started against Man City. You can see all that, right? If I just... Oh, that's really annoying because I want to just double check this is all working. Yeah, you can see it all properly. Okay, cool. So I think it'll be Stones and Akanji together as a partnership. I don't believe any of the other centre-backs are back. I don't think Kuznetsov will start like he started against Chelsea. And then you've got Nunes and Gvardiol. What's so interesting about these two is Gvardiol was like a centre-back. He was kind of sort of renowned as this exciting young centre-back coming through who could play left-back. And then Nunes was a box-to-box midfielder who I thought was going to come in and add something as a replacement for Gundogan, who was going to develop. But they brought Gundogan back. And In the absence of Rodri, Kovacic has played in that sort of 6. And I've gone for Foden, Marmoush with Haaland. Now, why have I gone for this? Because it's not actually what they've gone for in recent games. I don't think De Bruyne started against Chelsea, if I'm not wrong. Maybe he did, but they went for Bernardo. They had Foden more central. They've at times had Doku. They've got Savinho, of course. But here's why I think they're going to go for this system. And it's purely because this is nothing clever in terms of analysis. It's really not. Everyone's been talking about it. But we know that Man City against Chelsea did really well to bring inside the wingers and get Nunes and Gvardiol right up the pitch. So you ended with something like a 2 and then a sort of, a 2, a 3, and a 5. If you include Haaland there. Sorry, I'm being really pedantic with the particular players. There's a reason why. So I think that 5 there, with Marmoush running off Haaland, he kind of played off Haaland against Chelsea. Foden, we know, is better in central areas, but can come in off the right. I think they might go for something like this. And I think if City are going to do something like this, the problem is Arteta won't just set up to get the best out of his own team. He'll set up to try and stifle City as well. He's always been someone that is going to pay attention to what the opposition does to a degree, especially when it's Pep Guardiola and Man City. For this reason, and I said on the preview, I have real concerns about Lewis Skelly playing and about Ethan Nwaneri playing. And that's nothing to do with their quality. On merit, these two deserve to be in the team. But one of the things that Chelsea did poorly was track these runners of Nunes and Gvardiol. So when they're getting really, here we go, when they're flooding these pockets, and that means De Bruyne coming quite central too, that means Bernardo Silva coming quite central too, you get a really condensed area of the pitch. And if I can show this correctly, don't know if I can show this. Maybe I can. Yeah, I think so. There we go. You get really condensed spaces there, and they're making late runs and just exposing you time and time and time again. And that asks a question of Martinelli, and it asks a question of Nwaneri as well. And that's where I have concerns. And look, we're going to be playing our own football as well. There's going to be a big part of us that is focused on what we're doing. I completely understand that, because we should have the quality to be able to hurt Man City. They've been leaking goals. They've been scoring goals, they've been leaking goals too. But how much will Arteta set up to stop this? How much will he trust Lewis Skelly to tuck in like that? How much will he trust Ethan Nwaneri to come back and trust the runs of Gvardiol? He's a powerful player, makes really good runs. How many times did he find himself in this area in front of goal against Chelsea? And that's where I have major concerns. So and by the way, if it were me, I'd start Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri because they deserve it. But I have a real feeling that we could see this. So pull Lewis Skelly out the 11. Calafiori, let's pull Nwaneri out the 11 and go Trossard. But I think Martinelli will play on the right wing to track the Gvardiol runs. And I think Trossard could be asked to do the same thing. And we'll go for something like that. In this position, if we're going to be that tight, a left centre-back like Calafiori is going to be more comfortable there than a central midfielder converted left-back like Lewis Skelly. If we're encouraged to get on the ball, though, and play, then, of course, the way to stop this threat, the way to absolutely make sure that they are not going to be a threat, is you simply get on the ball, you keep it, and you pin them back. You make sure they don't go anywhere, because we know that Arsenal, we pull Calafiori back out, and we go for Lewis Skelly. We know that Arsenal can get into these areas really well. And let me just clear this. Sorry, apologies. Boom. Sorry, everyone. Making a mess of this. There we go. We know that Arsenal can get into these pockets really well. They can create on a triangle out here. And at this point, what you can do is basically force them, Man City, to feel like they've got to drop their fullbacks and ask Marmoush and Foden to be worrying a lot more about going backwards than they would ideally want to. And we know that Haaland is going to constantly leave himself in a battle with Gabriel and Saliba. So you either recognise what they're going to do, accept they're going to have the ball, and get the wingers on the pitch to ensure that, they can track back and make sure you track those runs, or you're going to have Man City essentially going, well, we're at the Emirates. Arsenal have got on the ball. Arsenal have been in slightly better form than Man City, but again, there's not a lot in it. We're slightly higher on the table, and maybe Man City will just go to respect us too. I don't think that is how it will go, but potentially. And that's kind of where I just think these battles at wing back are going to be interesting. So do you go with Ethan Nwaneri? Boom. And do you go with Calafiori or Lewis Skelly? I think these are the interesting battles in terms of a starting 11 spot and in terms of in-game as well. I don't know what Mikel Arteta is going to go with. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Yeah, we've got a little bit of live tactical insight for you. There we go. It was just, do you know what? And that's why we were late, actually, because I really wanted to illustrate this and I didn't really know the best way to do it. And I realized I could download the bloody tactical pad onto my laptop or here onto my computer and actually go and just explain it all. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts. It's really about how Arteta wants to deal with that problem. Do you be really progressive, get on the front foot, attack them, force them back? Do you get your best defensive wingers on the pitch to try and deal with that? Now, Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly, I'm sure will do everything they're asked. I've got no question about they'll do everything they're asked. I've got no question about whether they got the quality. But at this level, playing against Man City, it's a different question to constantly be worrying about what you're doing defensively when you're two players that are predominantly known for what you do from an offensive player, offensive attacking perspective for the team. It's a big ask. It's a big ask. And I'm not sure he'll go with. I think he'll go with seniority basically and trust them, and maybe Lewis Skelly and Nwaneri can have an impact later. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This is a good point. There is a reason why he rested Martin midweek. He wants him to run at Nunes. Yeah, he might want that for sure. He absolutely might want that. Villa getting Asensio and Rashford. Well, if they're getting Asensio, and I know, they were linked to them and João Felix. I mean, that is interesting. Like I said, it just wonder. Villa are a side that pre-plan if they're going to lose a big player. They did it with Grealish. They're good at getting ahead of things, but. Like Onana. I think they signed Onana before they let Douglas Luiz go. I might be wrong. So they pre-plan well. Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm just not sure about this Watkins stuff. Well, I think Raya will be fine, but Arteta's kind of doing the whole cryptic thing. We just don't know what's going on, to be honest. I think he said that we don't know if he's available. I obviously really hope he is. I think he will be, but we don't quite know. I think Raya will be fine, though. I think it's mainly mind games and a chance to rest him. Okay, well, we're going to leave it there. That was a little bit of a live tactical insight preview, catch up on Nepan and Watkins, and then chatting about Liverpool and their big win against Bournemouth, how it affects us. It's a big game. It's the Stay Humble Derby. It's a shit name, isn't it? But there we go. And it's a chance to beat a side that, it's always felt like beating them was a big step towards the title. We now know that if that's what we want, then Anfield has to be something that's within our reach come April, May, whenever that is. But for now, it's just about a big 3 points of wanting to beat a side that, there's been some needle with recently. And that's why there's something to it. But also they're a big side that have accomplished big things and you want to beat these teams. I hope the Emirates is rocking. I'm sure it will be. If you're going to the game, make loads of noise. And Arsenal, let's get a big win and just kick it into next week. Newcastle away. You never know, something can happen. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this live. We'll catch you all very soon. Watch along tomorrow on AFTV. See you in a bit.